Critic of modernity we have already done. Why he is a critic of modernity. Now we shall see. This was done, right? Swaraj, this slide was done. Have we done this or not? Please let me know. We'll start with Swaraj. I told you that he never defined his Swaraj. So it was the goal of freedom movement, but the meaning kept changing. The goal of freedom movement, but the meaning kept changing. As I told you that he never defined his Swaraj. That's why there were multiple interpretations. My voice is clear, or do I need to put the earphone? So as I have already explained that the meaning kept changing because he never defined the Swaraj, and he left them for the people to define the Swaraj the way they wanted to define, so that it became an all-inclusive concept. Everyone had certain, kind of attachment with Swaraj. Swaraj was supposed to be political liberty, but Gandhi's Swaraj was influenced by Mundaka Upanishad. Now, what he learned from Mundaka Upanishad, Upanishads would say that you are free to follow the Brahman mark, okay? And he again lays emphasis on morality that we shall see later. So you just need to remember that he took inspiration of Swaraj from Mundaka Upanishad, and that's why it's a very amorphous version. Okay, for each to his own kind of stuff. That is what Vedas and Upanishads tell you, that you can be the Brahman yourself. So when you can be the Brahman yourself, there is no defined path. Okay, you need to follow certain karmas are there, certain actions are there, and then the Vedic knowledge is there. So it control over self, over desires. You need to control yourself. You need to control your desires. You feel like doing so many things, but the urge has to be abated. Now, for individuals, Swaraj means control over desires. Socially, individuals and social, two different. Socially, Swaraj would come only when untouchability and communal balance are over. So, how would a societal Swaraj be achieved when there is no untouchability? Untouchability, the Constitution prohibits it now under Article 17. So, again, a Gandhian concept, and of course, there were other leaders also like Ambedkar, which we shall compare today with Gandhi. So, they would rather say that let's have some legal provision, but Gandhi would say, first let the society abide by the same. You can make n number of laws, but the law would be meaningless if society is not having a moral or a societal sanction, right? So socially, Swaraj would come when untouchability is removed, communal violence are removed. Only then there will be enough opportunities for people to follow what they want to follow. And this is how Swaraj will be achieved, when people are free to follow what they want to follow, when they get a conducive environment, when they get a congenial environment, so that they can develop their personalities, their skills, their chances of livelihood, and proceed further. Now, that does not happen in a very charged up communal environment, or when there is this evil of untouchability that dims the humans. So that is why these two things should be done away with. Next, he would say, Gandhi says one should be rooted in own culture without showing disrespect for culture. So he was a very big supporter of Swadeshi, but there were good things that he learned from Western countries. He did not shun them. Okay, he did not shun them. Like if your mode of worship is different from the indigenous one, then you are free to follow that. If the way you eat or drink or you celebrate your festivals is different, maybe I'll stick to one, but you will be free to follow your one. I'm not disrespecting it. Okay, so this is the Gandhian version. A very tolerable approach he is following, a very pluralist approach he is following. We can write this word actually. You need to use these things in your exam when you are talking about Gandhi. That what is this? This is pluralist, inclusiveness, that without showing disrespect towards the other. Yes, all kind of tolerance, religious tolerance, any diversity that you are willing to accept is a mark of tolerance. Ideological tolerance, linguistic tolerance, any difference that you are willing to accommodate and accept is a mark of tolerance. Okay, so not only religious tolerance, it can be linguistic tolerance, it can be cultural tolerance, it can be regional tolerance, it can be gender tolerance. Okay, actually very wide range, very wide range. That is why he's a great leader, right? Because every section of society can identify with him. There is something or the other for everyone. Something or the other for everyone. Because the ambit is so wide. Okay. Now you see, economic Swaraj. Economic Swaraj includes revival of cottage industries, land reforms, and constitution. Now, even there is this economic Swaraj because people are economically discriminated against, right? They are not paid wages on time. They are bound to do forced labors, bandhwa mazduri that is there. So these things should be done away with. How is that possible? Because you have to earn a livelihood, and it is the industrialist or the capitalist or the bourgeois, as Marx would call it, who is having access to or who is owing the entire capital. So he would make you dance to his tunes. That's why he says that he was very much against this large industries and machine-based production and everything. I told you he is critical of railways, doctors, and lawyers. So again, he would say that economic Swaraj. Now, what is that economic Swaraj? The revival of cottage industries. Okay, cottage industry. You know what is cottage industry? Small industry where the family members produce something on their own. Maybe a local pickle industry, maybe a spice, a masala industry, very small based. 6 to 7 people putting up at home. The men bring the raw material, maybe that chili, and the women, old style, they had what they call it, that where they used to do like this, and the masala would come out before machines were introduced. Pound, something like that. Yes. So, and then they sell it. So this is a very small scale work, and that is a cottage scale industry. This Gandhi would advocate. Okay, he would advocate this that because he saw that Indian villages are very much rich with mineral resources. There are all kind of natural resources and mineral resources. So he would say that there is a long scope, a big scope for people doing things that the way they want. Then he included khadi. If there is, if at all there is no resource available, then here is the khadi. You start spinning your charkha, start weaving khadi, and you will get remuneration for it. Okay, so this is his economic model, his Swaraj model. That I should not migrate from my hometown to somewhere else in search of a livelihood. We should stay at my place because there are enough resources that can be very useful for all of us. It can be charkha, symbol for ahimsa. How? Charkha was for economic model. Charkha was not for ahimsa. How charkha for ahimsa? That's what I'm asking. How? Because charkha was for, of course, people started wearing khadi, so it became a symbol. That way, you can say that. There is one full slide on that Kashkar. His justiceship with respect to economic Swaraj.
So economic Swaraj includes land reforms. Land reforms would ensure that land goes to the tiller. Okay, the landless labor also get the ownership of land. And how is that going to happen? Only when that's going to happen only when people like denote or they part away, they donate their excess of land, so that would be land reform. Trusteeship, let us wait for that part to come because there is a detailed description left there. Next you see, politically Swaraj was not confined to freedom from British, but it aims for liberation of masses. Gandhi mentions PRIs, that is Panchayati Raj institutions and Gram Swaraj. So it's not like that Britishers will go away from India and we'll have Swaraj. No, there must be liberation. Liberation, mukti and empowerment and freedom and choice to do things the way one wants. That would be real liberation. If Indians start ruling the way Britishers were ruling, there would be no Swaraj just because the color of their skin has changed of the rulers. That's not the purpose of Gandhian Swaraj. He would say that people must have liberation at their end. Okay, they must be empowered enough, and that's why he mentions PRIs, the Panchayati Raj institutions and Gram Swaraj. Now, how they are related with Swaraj, we'll see now. Democratic decentralization, very important concept. This we also study in Indian government and politics. Actually, some question. Yes, you are empowered only when then you are liberated, not the other way around. You cannot be liberated and then empowered. Empowerment is a prerequisite for liberation. Democratic decentralization, basically the 72nd and 73rd Amendment that were passed, that were again given in the active principles of state policy, part 4 of the Indian Constitution. Subsequent laws were passed by Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, the former Prime Minister of India, who actually gave constitutional status to the PRIs and ULBs, the urban local bodies and the Panchayati Raj institutions. So what is democratic decentralization? That small villages, they can decide on their own what is good for them. Let the local units, let the local villages, the blocks, the tehsils, the grams, the gaons, they can take decisions on their behalf. Okay, that is democratic decentralization. Now, what else is here? No hierarchical arrangement of power. Distribution of power should be horizontal, not vertical. Now, try to understand this. So today it's horizontal or vertical. If you see it's actually horizontal. You know, you have a hierarchy here. It's both, but still, it's more of it's a hierarchy, right? The pyramid can be seen mostly vertical. Like how I'll explain you. Just wait a minute. See how. So here is the head of the government. We'll talk about the real, not the uh, uh, de jure. Okay, so the prime minister is sitting. Now he is assisted by his councils of ministers. Now further down, there is this guy, chief minister in every state, and his state council of ministers. Further down, there is district level and village level administration, right? So you see, it is more of a horizontal. This is vertical actually. This is not horizontal. But then there are certain domains that are defined, like state assembly can take care of state list. Union parliament can take care of union list. Okay, so this would be like horizontal. Here is the state, here is the center. They can decide on union list, they can decide on state list. That will go parallel. But then union is more tilted towards this vertical. Gandhi was not in its favor. Gandhi abhorred this. Gandhi was strictly not in its favor. What was the question that someone had? Yes, reality is vertical. At some stages, there are horizontal distributions. Sarvodaya, again a very important term. Sarvodaya and Antyodaya, two interrelated terms. They have been asked in your exam. Sarv means all. Uday means ascent, rise. Antyodaya. Sarvodaya is the ascent of everyone. Antyodaya is even the ascent of the last man standing. Who is the last man in standing? The bottom at the pyramid. Okay, the poorest of the poor, the Daridra. Okay, so that Antyodaya and Sarvodaya is Gandhian socialism. It includes labor and trusteeship. Labor, you know, you need to do labor and you are the trustee. Capitalist himself is not owing everything. Everyone should do physical labor so that he can understand the pain and suffering. So he made sure, you know, he even asked Kasturba to clean the washrooms. Two things he aimed at here. First was that let it not remain something which is looked down upon. We can also do that. Second thing, he wanted people to realize the value of labor. So he said, I'm doing it, what is the problem that you are having? You can also do that. So he was actually destigmatizing it. Okay, and how can you destigmatize it? You see Modi ji washing feet of who were they in Banaras? No, not laborers. They were sweepers, I guess, right? They were the sweepers. He washed feet of 4 to 5 people, sanitary workers, right? Sanitary workers and sweepers. So what was he doing? The prime minister has not been elected for washing feet of few individual, but he was trying to destigmatize them. This is not something that we look down upon. In fact, they are the real people, the people who keep our home, our surroundings clean. So they must be paid utmost respect. This is again what Gandhi would say, that no work is small or good. He would say a sweeper is as sweeper's work is as respectable as a teacher's or a lawyer's work, because every work is important. Okay, so everyone should do physical work, whatever you or other main work is. Even if you are Birla then or Tata, then also you should engage in that. You will empathize with the people who are doing it not because of choice but because of compulsion. That is how we will empathize. He's actually appealing to the conscience of the rich. Further, he would say everyone should do some manual work, do some farming, work in your own industry as a worker. Okay, do some manual work. And you again see Swachh Bharat, the prime minister takes up the jhadu, and entire bureaucrats, even the cabinet secretaries and the high-ranking IAS officers. And now there is a competition between the district collector and the SP, even the DGP of the state. DGP is the senior most IPS officer in the state. So every state has one DGP. Now I see all DGPs, all India, they are posing with their brooms. Now, can you imagine this 10 years back if Swachh Bharat was not made a movement where, of course, it can be a Photoshop, it can be a photo op opportunity, it can be a PR stunt, it can be an image correction, everything said and done. It will, people say that it is only showbaji, it has less impact. Okay, even if we agree to it, don't you think it helps in breaking the stigma attached with the cleanliness work? So that is how it happens. When the highest office does, everyone is now posing. They are happily posing with the broom. Ever imagined anyone posing with broom? Even in your most of the casual attire, forget your official attire when you are at your workplace. Now the senior IAS officers and IPS officers are, sweeping and they are posing happily. And see, I cleaned so much during Swachh Bharat. So the thing is that manual work first, and then second thing is to destigmatize the same. This is not something to be ashamed of. If you cannot keep your surrounding clean, then you are not a worthy individual. So that is how you can see the Gandhian principles being practiced even now by the incumbent regime. All work should be equally respected. As I told you, irrespective of the profession, irrespective of the nature of the job, the work should be equally respected. Now, can you imagine a safai wala, if he does not come, okay, for a week, what will happen to your surrounding? Can you live in such dirt and filth? So his work is equally important, in fact more important, I guess, right? So that is why I'm saying that every work, the sanitary workers, the cleanliness drives, all these people should be respected. And he said it long back, okay, even before independence. Now you understand why he was having such wide support. I mean, there were people who were equally passionate about India's independence. The extremists were as passionate. Even the moderates wanted India to. Yes, the problem was seen during the pandemic. Even the moderates, though they were hallucinated with British, that British will do good and we will help them. Once that feeling was gone, the extremist faction comes, where Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Aurobindo and Lala Lajpat Rai, they were not passionate. No, all of them. Was Bhagat Singh not passionate? In fact, I guess most. But then who thought of all these things? You are ready to die for your country. Very good. You love your country. But how can everyone think alike? So what is there in for them? Okay. Why would a poor sanitary worker want India to be free? I mean, he must be getting some incentive. If the British go and if Indians are ruling, then what is in there for me? Are you understanding? See, yes, Krishna, what you are saying is correct. We'll try to define it at the end. We'll try to sum it up once we are done with everything. But see, try to understand the Gandhian movement. In your general studies, paper one history, this question was asked: the contemporary relevance of Gandhi. Now, this is not something that is given in your any of the history books. You read anyone, it's Bipin Chandra or Sumit Sarkar or anyone. It's not given. So how do you relate it? This is where your optional comes into play, because Gandhi is becoming even more relevant. Some certain aspects are becoming even more relevant. Forget ahimsa and non-violence and everything. No, these things are not relevant when India is boasting of such military power and giving befitting replies to the beloved neighbors time and again. So that is not relevant actually. The Gandhian ahimsa is not irrelevant ahimsa. But then the sustainable development model, the cleanliness drive, Swachhta, he compared Swachhta with divinity, and the passion with which Modi ji is endorsing it, at times I think he's obsessed with cleanliness. He seems to be like broom and Sauchalaya. But then you try to realize, because we have been right from our childhood, we have seen such things. Okay, like a typical middle class child who is getting used to, who is having everything ordered, but it does not apply to most of India. There are places where we still don't have access to clean drinking water. And if the government is building washrooms on a war footing, it really implies a lot, right? So it becomes a mass movement. So see Gandhi, how cleverly he is giving hope to everyone that he is connecting social reform with freedom movement, socio-economic reform with freedom movement, which no one did. And a worker, a cleanliness worker, even a safai wala, a sweeper, everyone will have aspirations now that if India becomes free, this is how my work will be appreciated. This is what is there in free India for me. This is my country. So Gandhiji is saying this. Let us go with him and face the lathis and bullets of the English. Okay. So see how inclusive and how the wide ambits of his freedom movement. What else makes you think that he brings masses? I mean, Indians were such a diversified race, such a divided race before the English came. So it is Gandhi who, for the first time in modern India, has united Indians. Right? He said something, people started doing that. Not many in India not many Indian leaders are capable of that. Okay, there are only few, maybe two to three. I cannot think of fourth or fifth name. Okay, you understood this, all of you? Shastriji said that do not eat meal for a time. We need to fight the enemy. We are running short of food grains, and we are a poor country. People give up eating food. Modi ji says that give up your subsidy on LPG. Those who are well off. And I never thought that people will actually do that, but people did. Okay, so this is the power of charismatic leaders. Aditya, well, thank you, but really so. Oh, all of you humbled. Credits to Gandhiji, not to me. Credits to Gandhiji. Okay. Acha, having said this, I have my serious differences with Gandhiji. I do not approve of his method. I don't think masses have that level of patience. But once you read this man in details, it's not for all of us. And yes, some principles are quite, especially the Ahimsa one, and there are other experiments with truth. His experiments with brahmacharya and celibacy are not part of your syllabus, so I would not rather go into that because they are very, very controversial. And if today someone tries to emulate those acts, he will be booked under IPC and CRPC sections. Okay, so he said that newly married should not have sex, and if they feel the urge to have sex, they should take bath with cold water. He asks people to practice celibacy. It's actually true. He used to sleep naked with women to test his chastity. It's all in his book. Okay, but since we don't have to deal with these things, there will never be a question in your exam, so I'm not going to explore these sides of Gandhiji. So let us stick ourselves to what is there in our book, in our syllabus, because no one can denounce Gandhi today, not at least a UPSC aspirant. You see, Modi ji has elevated Gandhi to, yes, you read Hind Swaraj, you read My Experiments with Truth, he has accepted everything. Okay, he has accepted everything. My Experiments with Truth, Hind Swaraj, he has accepted these things himself. And you read the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi that is published by the Ministry of Information Broadcasting. But can be daring. Of course, it's daring. Not everyone has the, kind of this himmat to say that. But then, how many can practice that? And of course, celibacy or no celibacy, let that be a personal choice. Right. So leaving aside those, after all, he was a human, right? But then these things, the way he is including people, even the women in countryside were getting beaten up by their husbands after they were drunk. So what would he say? He would say that picket the liquor shop. Here is the Swaraj for women also. Dignity to women. We'll start with those things again. These are there on the side. Let us move now. Gandhi disapproves of Marxist method of violence. He does not like the Marxist method. In fact, Marx talks about how many have not done Karl Marx with me? People who have not done class Marx? Anyone here? Anyone who has not done Karl Marx here? In the class, whether you have read it on your own, that's different. Priyanka, you are new. Anyone else? Only Priyanka, right? Okay. So Marx advocates, most of the students must be remembering that his famous quotation. Can anyone repeat that? His quote on violence. Yaad hai ya bhul gaye? Midwife wala. No. Not revolution is the way. Or something like violence, midwife, society, pregnant. Violence is the midwife of a society pregnant with new ideas. It's what Karl Marx says. Every birth witnesses bloodshed, he says. Okay. So Karl Marx talks about a violent method of bringing revolution and ushering his Marxist utopian idealist communist state. Why? Because the capitalist will never part with his privileged capital unless he's beaten black and blue. Gandhi says no. He does not favor violence. How can Gandhi favor violence? So he says what Gandhi would say, that capitalist isn't the owner but a mere trustee. So Marx hates capitalist because capitalist is the owner. Here Gandhi is saying no, he's not the owner. He's just a trustee. You are the trustee. Trustee you need. You know what is trustee? Your institution. It's a trusteeship, right? Dhanwantari. So there are people who are holding. I think I'm correct when I'm saying it's a trusteeship. Yes, I'm correct. So the thing is that there are people who have ownerships. It's a collective form of ownership. Okay, it does not boil down to one person. Yes, it's a trusteeship. I've seen your site. Okay, before I started teaching. So the thing is that there are certain people with some common interest. That is how they are defined for a certain section of society, right? that we want to benefit a certain section of society. Nothing wrong with that, and we are promoting this on at our end. So through collective efforts, through collective ownership, they are doing it. There is no, you cannot say that so and so person is the director, chairman, or like Mukesh Ambani is the whole and soul of Reliance. Of course, the profitable one, not the Anil Ambani one. Tata is the whole and soul of Tata. So you cannot say someone like you cannot name an individual who is the whole and soul in Dhanwantari, because there are collective efforts, collective form of ownership. So they are trustees. Rich people are trustees of the wealth that they have. How? Capital is a social production. It's not an individual production. It's a social production. Capitalist can keep a certain amount needed to carry on with his business and donate the remaining amount. Okay. Now, this becomes very subjective. How much amount will be kept by the capitalist? So Gandhi says that please take what rightfully belongs to you, so that you can carry on with your business. You can retain a certain amount for your own personal use, but live a frugal life. He disapproves of lavish lifestyle. At that time there were no such lavish lifestyles that Indians were having. The rest of the rare, some Maharaja or some Nizam would be having that, but Gandhi does not approve of them. And what would he say? That capitalists are the trustees. Trustees as in you are having millions of rupees or billions of rupees. You are having a factory because your worker is working for you. You are able to eat your food on time. That's how you can go to work. That's how you live your life. You are eating your food on time because a poor farmer somewhere in the field is growing it. Okay, you are wearing your clothes because again someone is working on it. Someone is taking care of your household stuff, maybe your maids or your servants, domestic help. So they have also contributed to you. There's a maybe a physical trainer who looks after you so that you do not often fall ill. If at all you fall ill, there is a doctor who takes care of it. So there are so many people who make you what you are. You alone are not earning everything. Yeah, Tata may come close to it. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, look at these people. They have donated majority of their wealth, right? Now, Warren Buffett, the most legendary investor of our times. What our times? All times. Bill Gates. I was in school when I heard about him first time, and we are still hearing about him. Richest person, this person, that person. Okay, so these people have realized that they need to give back to society, because they say, as Gandhi says, it is the society that has enabled you to reach at that particular position that you are holding. You have not done it alone. Certain section of society has always contributed to it. Even if they have not met you, you have not met the farmer. You are eating your food in the morning. We are having meals at our respective time, but we don't know who brings this food to us. From we just go to the market and buy it. The one who grows, we don't know. So these people have also contributed, he would say. Actually, see, Machiavelli is unethical. There is a comparison here. I'm not deliberately saying it because it is on slide. Yes, he's expecting the best, because again, what is the assumption? What is the assumption? I've explained it to you on board through the pen. Can you remember that flowchart? Please tell me the assumption. Why is he saying this? Why is everyone having a good side? And if everyone is behaving in a bad way, everyone is a part of the same God. Yes, individual is a part of the Brahman, the same God. So the good side is inherent. Those who are evils, those who are criminals, that good side has, is hibernating like polar bears. So that side need to be appealed at, that side need to be evoked on. It can be invoked so that your good sides overtakes your bad side. This is why he's saying all these things. So man by default is a good person. Unlike Machiavellian assumption that man, so he's an evil. So do what suits you. Okay. Yes, there is very contrast, a lot of contrast between Machiavelli and Gandhi. Gandhi wants to appeal to the conscience of the rich. Okay, conscience. How would he do that? That please, you have earned your wealth, very good, but then time to give back. Think of yourself as a trustee, not as the owner. There are other people who have contributed to your success. That's how he says that. M.N. Roy criticizes Gandhi for this. M.N. Roy, was a Marxist. We have to study M.N. Roy also. But in later parts of his life, he became a bitter critic of Marx. So when he was a Marxist, then he would criticize Gandhi that this is not how things work. Okay. You cannot appeal to the conscience of the rich. Okay. And you are totally kind of asking people to sacrifice the revolution. That is why M.N. Roy would criticize him that you don't know the true nature of capitalism. That's why you are saying these things. Capitalism cannot be, corrected. It can only be replaced, is what Marxists think. That's what M.N. Roy would say. M.N. Roy, founder of Communist Party of India, went to Moscow, participated in the Comintern with Lenin, came back, founded the Communist Party of India in 1925. So that's the view of a staunch Marxist. And it is often said that Gandhi is Marx without guns, and Marx is Gandhi with guns. Okay, understood this? You can write it somewhere. Gandhi, Marx without guns, Marx, Gandhi with guns. Written? All of you write this. In fact, they have never asked this question, but they can well ask this. I'm sending it. They have never asked this, but they can very well ask. Shall we proceed now? End and means. Now, ethics and politics. What is end and what is means? Anyone who can explain this to me? Means are tools. Yes, you all are right. End is goal, destination, and path. Actually, fair enough. I'm searching for, I want to send you certain articles, relevance of Gandhi. Actually, okay. After the class, I'll do that. Not now because that would take some time. Let us come to yes. You all are have correctly put it. See what he would say. End. End is the result. Means is the methods that you adopt to attain those results. Okay. So end would be your selection in your civil services exam when you attempt the exam. Means it the classes that we are having right now, the PPTs and the PDF that I'm sending you, the study material that we send to you, the tests that you are supposed to do, the current affairs that you are reading. These are means. The classes are the means. The lessons are the means. The lectures are the means. The notes are the means. End is selection in the exam. So Gandhi would lay emphasis on purity of means. Okay. Now, not for UPSC. Do not even think of that. I know you people don't, but some idiots in North India have this habit that can we have some setting in the exam. You cannot have that. So, like, can we fix our results? So if that was to be true, which is not at all true, the means would be unfair. If you use unfair means to qualify in anything, in an exam, competitive exam, in a college exam, university exam, or a school exam, or in some quiz you try to win a prize, or in some game you win it through unfair means, like the Pakistanis did. I remember when I used to watch cricket, they used to do what is called ball tampering. People like Wakar Yunis, they used to rub the soda bottle on the ball. Although he was a great bowler, I liked him a lot. So these were the unfair means. Picking the seam of the side. So these were the unfair means. End would be to win the match by hook or by crook. Okay, they take catch. They have ball has touched the ground, but they somehow are saying that no, we have taken the catch. We have took the catch. Maradona's hand of God. How many of you remember it, or how many of you have heard of it? Of course, you have not seen that. So all these were unfair means, right? So end and means. The unfair means. So Gandhi would lay emphasis on the purity of means. The methods that you adopt to attain the result should be very pure, very honest, and without any cheating. That is what he would say. Why he would say so? Idealists like Socrates and Plato believed in continuity of end and means, politics and ethics. See, for Gandhi, politics is not different from ethics. His politics is a reflection of his ethical journey, right? What he believes to be ethical in his personal life, he would extend the same in his political life. Okay, that is why he is not hesitant to write such things, which some of you rightly said that it's very daring for him to say these things, because he knew deep within that my intentions are not bad. So why should I not stress on the same? In fact, Jawaharlal Nehru said this is quite weird when he heard these things, and when he went to the Gandhi ashram and saw those things, he said that what kind of things this is? I mean, Nehru will not agree to this. So, but Gandhi never hesitates that. I mean, who writes such things in his autobiography? Okay, and he wears them on his sleeve. He says that, yes, I've done that. And all of you should do that. Only then your spirit will be purified. You will be free of all bondage or whatever methods he has envisioned. So for him, political journey is an extension of his ethical journey, which was confined to his personal aspect. Now it is extended to the political aspect as well. So there is no segregation of ethics and politics. Unlike who would do that? Please tell me. I have already taught you. That's why I'm asking. Segregation of politics and morality, or ethics or religion. What was the name of the devil? Very good, Machiavelli. Machiavelli, see, again, Machiavelli was witnessing, new student, Machiavelli is an Italian thinker, and he was witnessing the atrocities and the wrong things done by church during his time, 16th century. So he would say that religion should stay away from politics. Church should not tell us what we should do. Okay, state is different, statecraft is different. religion is different, dharma is different. Gandhi would say, no, religion is just an extension of your ethical journey. A realist liberated politics from ethics and established autonomy of politics. Who is the father of realism? Who is the father of realism? Machiavelli is the political realism. The real politics starts from Machiavelli. We have already seen that. Are yes or no? Political realism starts from Machiavelli. What he says, ethics is different. So what is ethical need not be political, and what is political need not be ethical. Like I'll give you an example. Political action should be judged from political angle rather than ethical angle. So if in Maharashtra BJP and Shiv Sena fought together as alliance, won majority, but then had some difference on who will become CM. Okay, I'll discuss Babri Masjid also, but not here, because that's a part of IGP, the Mandir movement. If you want to discuss today, I can do that at the end. So, see more relevant examples that Shiv Sena and BJP fought together in Maharashtra, got majority comfortably on their own, on the alliance, and post the result, there is a difference on who will become the chief minister, and Shiv Sena breaks away, allies with the people they fought, proves majority on the floor, politically maneuvering. It's a political masterpiece, a maneuvering. You have outsmarted none other than the BJP under Amit Shah. So that would be a political maneuver that even BJP was trying to side with Ajit Pawar and all, but it is a Shiv Sena who took it. So politically good, ethically very wrong. Why? Because your voters might have voted for you thinking that you are a BJP ally, right? So politically correct, ethically wrong. Politically a maneuvering move. BJP in Madhya Pradesh, Jyotiraditya Scindia resigns, is offered a Rajya Sabha seat, and the state government collapses. Shivrajji founds the new government. Political masterstroke, ethically incorrect. So according to Gandhi, these things are incorrect. According to Machiavelli, beautiful. See, long term, let me quote John Maynard Keynes. Dr. Manmohan Singh quoted him in, Parliament. In the long term, we all are dead. Okay. So what would happen in long term? Of course, the political spectrum keeps on changing. Keynes said this because he was often accused that you are suggesting short-term monetary measures. In the long term, this will not work. So he said, in the long run, we all are dead. Okay. Yes, that will happen. And now that things are happening in Maharashtra, of course, it's advantage to BJP only, especially after this Sushant case and the drugs cartel that has emerged and the corona. In fact, how much Maharashtra has contributed to, I think, a large part of India's corona cases. So yes, that might happen, but for the time being, they form the government, right? I gave you other examples also. Ethically wrong, politically correct. For Machiavelli, a go-go, 27%, my God. Almost 1/3 of cases are from Maharashtra. Okay, so political action should be judged from political angle rather than from ethical angle. This is what a Machiavelli, a realist, would say. An idealist like Socrates, Plato, or a Gandhi would say the contrary. That no, how can you claim to be ethical when you are not being ethical politically? Your political decisions should be as ethical as your personal decisions. You see the next point. Gandhi is inspired by Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale is his political mentor, and Leo Tolstoy also. He was inspired by Tolstoy also. He advocates spiritualizing of politics. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was a moderate leader, and he's the political guru of Gandhi. So Gokhale ji said that let us spiritualize politics. So when then people will emphasize on purity of means. So if political leaders emphasize on that thing, moderate, you don't know. How many don't know moderate and extremist and revolutionaries? Acha, you have not done your GS, right? When Congress was formed in the last quarter of 19th century, it was dominated by moderate leaders like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Vyomkesh Chandra Chatterjee, Badruddin Tayyabji, Motilal Nehru. Okay, these were the people. They were moderates because they believed that Britishers are good people. They have given up. If I can quote W.C. Banerjee from the first Congress session, we are more loyal servants of England than the English themselves. We want the English to continue in India forever. They have given us so many good things, the rails, the telegraph and all. Yes, this is how he said that, the first session itself. Okay, yeah, 3 Ps. So these were moderates. These were moderate leaders, and they would ask Britishers, they will write letters, they will sign petitions, they will ask for a request for a meeting. Like, no, please do this. Most respectfully, I beg to state that such language they used. They were moderate. Now, after 10 to 15 years, when they will not be able to achieve much on ground, extremists would come. Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, Aurobindo Ghosh, Bankim Chand Chatterjee, who would say, why are you talking like this to them? You keep on writing love letters to them. You keep on my lordships and this and that. You give so much of izzat to them that they do not listen to you. Okay, itna samman mat do. We will look into their eye and say that Swaraj is my birthright. I shall have it. Is what this Tilak would say. Okay, so they were extremists. That we will confront the British with direct action. We will go for strikes. We will not write petitions. Now you got it? Moderate. This is in your modern India. Okay, some more question because the chat window is coming and coming. Gandhi is a moderate, but he has certain traits of extremist also because he goes for direct action. He goes for strikes. Moderates never went for a strike. Gandhi is actually neither a moderate nor an extremist. He's a Gandhi. He's a Gandhian. When the moderates fell, extremists came. When the extremists fell, revolutionaries came. And when all fell, Gandhi came. So in his resistance, he's a moderate. In his methods, he's an extremist. In his passion, he can be a revolutionary. Yes. No, don't take sides. That's what I'm telling you. In fact, I have written something on it. I have not put it on slide. If you want, I can send it to you, all of you. I'll scan that and I'll send it in your group. I hope you will understand my handwriting. I'll send it. Don't worry. I'll send it in your group today. There's hardly one page, one or 1.5 page. So he wants to spiritualize the politics. Politics without ethics would be a death trap, he says, because there is so much to be done through politics that if you do not practice spirituality, if you do not practice, and he's a religious person, so for him, uh, ethics comes from religion. For him, the ethics come from religion, right? So he would say that yes, being a religious person, my ethics are well defined by my religious parameters. Let me extend the same to my political domain. If I do not do that, politics would be like a death trap. Purity of means, impact of Bhagavad Gita, karma. Nishkam karma, Krishna ji talks about. I don't know how many of you have read Gita, I guess none. So there you see Krishna has talked about nishkam karma. Do your karma without worrying about the phala. Achha, you have. Very good. Very good. But which one? The ISKCON one. The Gorakhpur Gita Press one. So here he would say, Krishna talks about, yeah, karma yogi is the same thing. That you do your karma, leave the rest to the Almighty. Leave the rest to the destiny. Things will fall at their place. Okay. Do not be very obsessed with the result. And I say this to my students all the time, that selection is a part of your process. Selection in the exam is a part of process. If you follow the process, selection will happen. Okay, Swami Ranganathanda, not aware about. So he would lay stress on purity of means through Bhagavad Gita. The impact of Gita is very much palpable in Gandhiji. Yeah, you have the right to act and not of fruits thereof. Exactly this thing. Gandhi applied ends and mean theory to his political struggle. He made it a battle between evil and good. He said, see, the moral high grounds. First, you are associating every cross section of people with your movement by making them aspire for a better tomorrow. We have already discussed his concept of Swaraj is an amorphous concept. Everyone can relate with that, right? So he's giving hopes and aspirations to even the last man, Antyodaya. He even talks about Antyodaya. The person at the Ant needs to have an ascent. Uday, right? Sarvodaya. Everyone should have that ascent. So all the people come with him. Then he says that we are on the righteous side. We are on the side of Dharma. We are fighting for a noble cause, for the upliftment of 30 crore. We were 30 crore at that time. Can you imagine? For the upliftment of 30 crore people. If struggle is for dharma, methods cannot be adharmic. So how can your means be unfair when your ends are noble? Okay, how can your means be unfair when your ends are noble? Struggle is for dharma. How can you take the adharmic route? Okay, non-violence. Machiavelli represents what is. Gandhi represents what ought to be. I told you there is this slide coming. So Machiavelli will say this is happening. So let us do this. Gandhi would say this is happening. So to correct this, let us do that. Did you understand this, all of you? Machiavelli is stating the obvious. Gandhi is trying to correct the obvious. What is and what ought to be. Again, the classic realist versus idealist conflict we are again witnessing. Yes, this is how they are defined. So what ought to be is Gandhian. Gandhi is an idealist, right? Do your duty as per Bhagavad Gita. Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karm phal hetu bhurma te sangostu karbadi. I guess all of you know the meaning of this shloka. Do your duty without worrying about the result. That's it. As per the Bhagavad Gita. And you know, this largely holds true in most aspects of our life. If you do your duty, if you perform your karma with utmost sincerity, then it will give you returns. Maybe not the exact phala that you are awaiting, but you will not be in a position to complain because of the returns that you will get. This is a time tested method. So all of you can strive for that. you have your phala, you have your aim defined, very good, you are working towards it, but then even if there is a variation in the end result, do not be disheartened. So actually Gandhian, and this is actually Gita's thought. Gandhiji was right when he said this thing. So Gandhi's individual is a moral individual who is aware of his duties along with his rights. Now, liberals, now try to understand. Those who have missed earlier classes, Priyanka, especially for you, liberals would emphasize on the rights of the individual. Socialists would emphasize on the duties of the individual. So when we study fundamental rights and fundamental duties, we see that fundamental duties are taken from the Soviet Union. Only a socialist will talk about duty of the citizen. A liberal will talk about the rights of the citizen. Gandhi talks about both. Gandhi talks about both. His individual, his moral individual, his ethical individual is aware of his duties if he knows his rights. Okay, what is the problem? We all claim that this is our right, but we forget our duties, right? So Gandhi would say that if you are entitled to your rights, there are certain duties you as a citizen are supposed to perform, right? So his individual strikes a balance between the liberal and the socialist debate. Okay, he takes a middle path again. Now, one more thing. For Gandhi, means are not important. Means are most important. Means are more important than ends. What about the author of Bhagavad Gita himself? I mean, in Mahabharat war, the way Bhishma, Drona, and Karna were killed, the way they were killed, why they were killed, I'm not saying. The way, the means. Was it dharmic? I mean, you cheated these people, right? I mean, Arjuna is in a moral dilemma. What did Krishna said? Leave the dharma to me. You are a warrior. Perform your duty. Behold your Gandhi and fire. Sure, leave all this contemplation on me. I'm the God, not you. Get rid of your hallucinations. And if you do not do it, I'll do it. If you are unable to kill Bhishma, I'll show you how he can be killed. So, again, you see, the original thought is something else, but Gandhi has given his own version. So, it's not a philosophy class. See, we are studying the political thought itself. Now, again, Krishna would say the establishment of dharma, yada yada hi dharmasya, glanir bhavati bharata, he says. So, whenever there is an adharma, I come. And he showed in order to fight adharma, you can also take unfair means. Gandhi is not saying that. Gandhi is against capital punishment. Krishna himself killed Jayadrath after 100 mistakes. Not Jayadrath, Shishupal. Okay, so the original author of Gita is saying something else. The one who is scanning Gita in 19th century is saying something else. Remember this. Okay, now you see state. Again, he's an anarchist, a moral anarchist. We have usually attached anarchy as a negative term. We usually feel that anarchist is someone, when you say someone is an anarchist, that's not something that one boasts about. Okay, so anarchist is like, yeah. So anarchist would talk, someone who does not believe in order is an anarchist. Order is law and order, कानून व्यवस्था. Order का exact मतलब होता है व्यवस्था. So someone who does not believe in a व्यवस्था or an order is an anarchist. Now what is order? Order is that when there is a lockdown, remain at your place. Order is when the light turns red, do not jump it. That's an order. A particular order when you are crossing the road, use the footpath. Pedestrians, there is this. For cyclists, there is this. There is in some cities there is this BTR, the bus transit type of thing. These are the orders, right? Gandhi does not believe in order, and he would say that state is not needed. You see, state is an instrument of coercion. This was the inspiration of Tolstoy, because state is an authority. Why do you need authority? Why do you need authority to suppress people when people are manifestation of Ishvara? Okay, so state is a soulless machine. State is a soulless machine, and that soulless machine will never go for non-violence. It can turn violent, and we have seen if state turns violent, all the violent people, it is incompatible with non-violence. State is incompatible with non-violence. State is a symbol of man's weakness, because man is unable to manage himself on his own, because he has a weak character. That is why he needs an extra authority. That is why all these talks of social contracts are coming. If you remember social contract of Thomas Hobbes, Locke, why? Because individuals need an order that the state would provide. So they say that the deficiency is within the individual. If you can do it on your own, you do not need a state. Okay. Gandhi's Ram Rajya is a stateless society. No, that's not a theological Ram Rajya. He himself has written this, that it's not the Treta Yuga's Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya is that everyone has access to Swaraj. There is no authority on people. There are small village autonomous units which are living in perfect and harmony with each other. You do not need a police or a military to make people obey what the state wants. It's a stateless society. Now, isn't this something very comparable to the ideal communist society of Marx? So that is why we said Gandhi is Marx without guns. Okay. You see, his Ram Rajya has similarities with Marx's ideal communist state. Okay, there also there was no foundation, no state, no obligations for anyone, no kind of do's and don'ts for anyone. Man was a very reformed soul there, right? So, man, in Gandhi's Ram Rajya is also at the same level. Any questions here? Any questions here? His emphasis on state. Now, last thing, his role, his advice to women, and what is his vision for women. Important role to play in freedom struggle. You know, women were very much participating in the Gandhian struggle, and he also says that women have a huge role to play in removal of untouchability. So, just a small thing that he has compared women with, Sita and Draupadi, and he also said that it was because of the um, uh, ethics and morality of Sita that Raman was not able to touch her. That's not the case. Raman did not touch Sita because he was cursed, not because he watched Pink and started believing that no means no. Okay. The original story is that in Valmiki Ramayana that Raman was cursed by Kuber himself. So that's why he did not touch Sita. But then Gandhi has said that because of the morality and ethics of Sita, he was unable to touch the finance. Right. So this is what Gandhi would say about the state. Okay. And on women. Any questions we have here? If not, then I'll tell you something more. Anything. Any questions you have? Anyone? Any doubt? Then please ask. People hate Gandhi. Yes, that's right. His state is Marxist, path is peaceful Marxist. Ram, if I answer your question, I'll not be talking on the syllabus. Let's leave that some other time. Okay. Or if you ever go to Gujarat, go to the Gandhi ashram and just try to read all the quotations. His own words. Okay. Read his own words. They are there posted on the Sabarmati ashram. Maybe you will get your answer. Yes, of course. See, you cannot agree with anyone, but why to hate anyone? You can condemn anyone. You cannot, you can hate is a very strong word, right? So you cannot agree with him. You would say that, no, this is not how things work. But that's your opinion. So the person you are criticizing is also having an opinion. Let there be room for disagreements, right? Volatile. I disagree with what you say, but I'll defend till death of your right to say it. So agree with Gandhi or with anyone, or disagree with him or her, but at least let there remain a room for agreements and disagreements. Correct. Now we'll talk about someone who has criticized Gandhi like no one and is in your syllabus. Who? You know the answer. Not M.N. Roy. Ambedkar. You want me to read what he said when Gandhi died? Because next, now listen carefully. My own view is that great men are of great service to their country. This is Dr. Ambedkar on Gandhi's death. My own view is that great men are of great service to their country, but they are also at certain times a great hindrance to the progress of the country. Mr. Gandhi had become a positive danger to this country. He had choked all the thoughts. He was holding together the Congress, which is a combination of all the bad and self-seeking elements in society who agreed on no social or moral principle governing the life of society except the one of praising and flattering Mr. Gandhi. Such a body is unfit to govern a country. As the Bible says that something good comes out of evil. So also I think good will come out of the death of Mr. Gandhi. It will release people from bondage to supermen. It will make them think for themselves and compel them to stand on their own merits. Now, the thing is, now both are revered. And for an civil services aspirant, you can neither disagree with majorly with Gandhi nor with Dr. Ambedkar. Okay. Now there is this famous interview with BBC of Dr. Ambedkar. I think none of you have watched it. You want to? The thing is why the approach differs. See, I can there is a difference. Okay, he will talk about. He would not say that, right? No, we have just started with Ambedkar, Ram and Aditya. We have just started with Ambedkar. Even I have not even formally introduced Ambedkar to any of you. We are just seeing the contrast, right? We are just seeing the contrast because this question has been asked in your exam. Let us wait for Ambedkar. All right. So Gandhi would say that maintain Varna system because Varna system makes people adhering to their respective domains that they are known for. And he would say that destigmatize any caste. Don't say that this caste is bad or the work that a person is doing is bad. He's all for destigmatization. He himself started washing the washroom and so on and so forth, maintaining cleanliness, everything. Ambedkar would say, do away with caste. Ambedkar says that if Hinduism has to survive, then we need to just, his quotations on Ambedkar. See, why credit goes to Ambedkar or why people are critical of Gandhi is people's perspective. Okay. You can have your own perspective. For your exam, both Harvard gentlemen. Other than that, you can have your own opinion, but for that you need to know things before forming opinion. That's what I tell everyone, that before you tend to form an opinion, at least know the stuff. Like today, someone you said about Babri Masjid, someone said all these people, 22 people have been absolved by the court. So someone like that, this is how justice works in India. How did Babri Masjid fell? I mean, do you even know what the case was about? The case was not about how Babri Masjid fell. Everyone knows in this world that Babri Masjid was raised. That was not the case. The case was, is there a criminal conspiracy? Was a criminal conspiracy being hatched to raise Babri Mosque? That was the case. Court said no, that is not the case. It was done in a fit of movement. That's it. So why people are equating it with Babri did not fail? Of course, Babri fell. The verdict that has come today by the CBI court is about, was there a criminal conspiracy to do it? And the court said no, it was done in a fit of rage in the movement itself. It was not like planned by these people who were being blamed for it. That's it. So again, based on incomplete truth, half-fed data and lies that the media channel tell us every time, let us go in for some real truth now. So of course you can have your opinion on both of them. See, annihilation. Ambedkar as a child, he faced caste discrimination. And Gandhi, again, one more point I would like to tell you here, and then I'll wrap up. Gandhi believes in panchayats. He looks them as Gram Swaraj. Correct. Now Ambedkar is critical Panchayati Raj institutions. Why? He says, is he wrong? Again, before independence and just after independence. Village, still you go to some parts. Again, I'm told that South India fares well on this ground. I have never been to South India. I would love to. But in North, I can assure you that Ambedkar apprehensions are still true. To a reduced extent than what it was during the time of independence or just before independence, but it's still true. Things have abated now. We have fifth and sixth schedule, we have reservations, and all these forms of atrocities acts have been passed. But still, the dominant caste, there is a dominant caste. I'm not saying a general, okay, or a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or like that. Every Srinivasan has talked about this. M.S. Srinivasan, the very famous sociologist, he talks about Sanskritization concept, and he would say that even an OBC, when he gets access to money, he becomes the dominant caste and he starts exploiting the others. So Ambedkar is very close to reality. Ambedkar is saying that in villages, you are talking about empowering people. These are illiterate people. They go by their superstitious customs, and there you are giving them the sword of decision making through panchayats, and you think this will bring Swaraj. There are rigid caste hierarchies in villages. So justice will not serve. Your Gram Swaraj is not going to come. Okay. But having seen the performance of panchayats from ever since Narasimha Rao passed the the amendment 72nd and 73rd, we have come a long way. Right. Panchayats have done many good things also. So again, both perspectives are to a certain extent true. Are you understanding? Ambedkar has his legitimate share of concerns, and Gandhi has his own way of providing solutions. Okay, remaining things we'll see tomorrow. I hope all of you understood this.